Minutes or so, I think there are very good two topics after my talk where it will be the detailing. I'm just setting the stage right for the next two lectures. And once again, thank you so much. As you said correctly, it's nice to be in Ahmedabad in person to give a talk and not just having a screen. So thank you. And so I'll be speaking about the type 2 diabetes person sits in front of me. And the first thing I have to decide ASCVD, yes or no. Then I have to look at his glucose, and then we start writing the prescription. So the designing of the prescription starts with the question ASCVD, yes and no. And all the guidelines have changed after ESC proposed it in 2019, that ASCVD, yes, no. The issues are ASCVD, yes, we know. But no, when we say no, then the problem starts when we treat the patient. So once a event, recurrent events are more common, more predicted, and we need a very, very aggressive approach for these people with diabetes who already have an event. But when it is no, then we have to be, how should be our approach? So we know when we say ASCVD, patient with prior events, highest risk, patients with established CVD, patient with multiple risk factors, they belong to a big spectrum. So there can be a person with a stable cardiovascular disease, or there can be a person with just simple risk factors. And when we say risk factors, again there is a big spectrum, which all are clubbed in together, ASCVD no. And there we need to be aggressive in patients whom we put on the higher risk category, even though it is ASCVD no. Because we do see 32 years old type 2 diabetes, just COVID and now mild glucose rise, normal coronaries, no risk factor at all. At the same time, we see other diabetic patients. So with the full risk, though their coronary arteries are normal. So we need to be very careful when we say ASCVD no. Again, one very important thing what happens is that we all come across our friends and patients who get an event. So one day a person gets an event. Before that event or before that infarct, for many years there is atherosclerosis, there is a plaque, something is happening, there is some triggering factor which actually makes this a sudden onset of an event. But it is never a sudden. And unfortunately, before that event, maybe 1 hour before that, this person is ASCVD no. And within 1 hour, this person becomes ASCVD yes. And then that is the challenge when we evaluate these patients. So how can we solve? This is a big dilemma. We all know that it's a cardiovascular risk, it's a vascular disease, and it's not only coronaries, the whole vascular tree of a person with type 2 diabetes has a problem. And we need to treat this vascular tree and not only the glucose or type 2 diabetes. So we know as the risk factors increase, the cardiovascular disease goes up. Even in the normal ranges of A1C, this prospective follow-up of these young people, which have shown, this is about women from the Nurses' Health Study, but even in the normal HSCRP, not much of a kind of inflammation, but still as the A1C is going. So it is a function of rising A1C that has been again and again been seen in lots of prospective, retrospective studies. The REACH registry actually followed up patients with the just risk factor, and this was how much events it happens when there is a prior event and there is no prior event. See, the risk factors only is 9.1% here, but stable atherosclerosis, it is much higher than the only risk factor. The problem comes when we say ASCVD no, how much aggressive we are to evaluate such patients to find out that atherosclerosis. That is the question to be asked to ourselves when we treat these patients. And should we do that kind of aggressive assessment, or should we just go for the aggressive treatment? Prior ischemic event, there is an increased odds ratio for the further events and the mortality, but just history of diabetes, yes, that is the REACH registry again and again, and many such studies have shown us. So this was Subodh Verma's slide and his thing. So primary prevention, that was the word. In between I written a review article and we removed this primary prevention word, because primary prevention makes these people who are at high risk, they tend to be kind of a milder perception for their cardiovascular risk. So this is a big spectrum of people when we say ASCVD no, and we cannot just club them into primary prevention. We need to categorize them according to their risk status. So one more problem is it's a diffuse disease. As I said, it's the whole vascular tree. There is a small vessel involvement which we come again and again in our practice when we see such patients, and the standard evaluation says there is no established cardiovascular disease. There are lots of cases of coronary ectasia, acute thrombosis, when we see that normal coronaries but patients present with infarcts or such an event. So entire body vascular system is at increased risk when there is a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. So how to assess? There are standard risk factors. There is, of course, we do ECG, stress test, 2D echo, but let me be very frank, how many times we do stress test and how many times it is possible to do the treadmill test. Many times it is just not possible because of the limiting factors. Sometimes patients are not willing, though we write it on the prescriptions. Then comes the CAC score, coronary artery calcium score, which is utilized much less in clinical practice. Then perfusion scan, stress echoes, TT, angio, there are different biomarkers, different scores like ceramide score, which predict cardiovascular risk much better than diabetic dyslipidemia. But we all are not using it because there are papers which show, retrospective papers, that standard 9 risk factors they predict the risk much better. Now, when we say standard risk factor, the family history of premature cardiovascular disease, father died at the age of 55 with the cardiac event, becomes a very, very important thing for that person, especially if he has diabetes, even though there is no other risk factor, glucose is normal, normal coronaries. So this is getting ignored many times, and duration of diabetes or risk score engines, they do not take into account lot of much important risk factors which we know clinically predict the future events. So we know the treatment, glucose, lipids, microalbumin to be seen, everything. Multifactorial intervention, Steno-2, which showed the lipids, 60% risk reduction came from the lipid treatment in Steno-2. A beautiful study, less number of patients, but it was an eye-opener for everyone. Then comes the importance of blood pressure, and then comes the A1C. That doesn't mean A1C is not important, but treating lipids, becoming more aggressive by using statin is easy. Let's see, the lipids is one of the easy and most critical modifiable risk factor. Patient has to take drugs like statin. It's not like lifestyle intervention or something like that. We need to just make the patient adherent to the treatment. So statin aggressive treatment is there. I will just have 2-3 slides about statin, which shows that event rate goes up even in the patients with the primary prevention trials of statin. So though there was no prior events, just high risk factors, the LDL cholesterol levels correlate with the risk. It's the absolute LDL cholesterol reduction important, not only the 50% of the initial value, that though we take it as a during guidelines, but absolute reduction is also important. The risk effect of LDL cholesterol is cumulative. So how many years patient has remained on statin with the low cholesterol? That is important. It's not that just we give the statin, within 3 months the report is better, but how many years patient was on that low lipid? That is the very, very important thing which we need to see. And there is a benefit of LDL cholesterol lowering increases with the duration of treatment. So it's a cumulative effect. How many years patient has been on statin with the low LDL cholesterol gives maximum benefit to the patient. So I think being aggressive while treating LDL cholesterol, keep it in our board as we look at the microalbumin. We need to be very aggressive in LDL cholesterol treatment with statin. There was a nice study which showed that this was a study which was done switching from low dose statin to the high dose statin in a patient with simple risk factors. It's not that patients with the prior event. And you can see there was a significant difference when we use. I'm not recommending that we should use high dose statins for everyone. But as I said, when we say ASCVD no, we need to categorize the patient who need high dose statin and need to be little more aggressive. ASCVD risk enhancers needs to be seen in patients who do not have prior events. Like as I said, family history is extremely crucial. Elevated LDL and all other metabolic factors, of course, presence of diabetes comes first in such situation. So let's ask a question to ourselves. Are we aggressive enough when it comes to target LDL and keep the patient on low LDL? I think answer is not yes every time. We need to remind ourselves, because our so much of time in clinics has been taken for managing glucose. Then this is a very simple thing which we can manage. So as I was saying, all these aggressive assessment, I think we are going to listen to it about it. Many tests, and this comes into the discussion every time. Should we aggressively assess the patients of type 2 diabetes when it comes ASCVD? No, to find out what is. So there is stress test, stress thallium, CT angio, and there are, which has a very good negative predictive value to rule out something. Or if you are in a dilemma to give aspirin or not, or patients has a high risk of GI bleed, and what should I do? So the CT angio comes as a good handy for the negative predictive value. Also, there are many other tests which are there which also see the functional or reserve, how much will be the patient benefit from angioplasty. So these are high tests which are done by cardiologists, but in clinical practice, I think coronary artery calcium score we need to be using more. And this is a 5 years mortality rate in patients, about 5,000 patients who were seen that more the coronary artery calcium score, more is the event. And the risk is, but still, as we see the stress test or treadmill test, like a negative treadmill test, and we know there is an event within next few weeks or few months. Similarly, coronary artery calcium score may be 0 and there is an event, but by and large, if it is 100 or more, it is definitely, it tells us that we need to be aggressive. There cannot be a calcium in the coronary arteries unless there is atherosclerosis. So it at least tells us that there is an atherosclerotic vascular disease. One more word about statins. It's not only cardiovascular risk, it's treating the whole vascular tree, peripheral vascular disease as well as the cerebrovascular. And one more thing, it's not only the LDL cholesterol reduction, it's stabilizing the plaques. So the event rate or recurrent event rate goes down because it has an effect on stabilization of the plaque. It's not only LDL cholesterol reduction. This also we need to remind ourselves every now and then. So if risk decision is uncertain, we can use the CAC score 0 to 100, and we can categorize this ASCVD no patient in the higher kind of a risk than the lower risk when there is ASCVD no. And there are a lot of other tests which are available, and with our cardiologist colleagues, it's easy to define the patient's risk status whenever we say ASCVD no. I would like to have just one paper here mentioned which actually relates to our population of type 2 diabetes. It's from Naveed Sattar, and when we met him last year, he has said this was again and again repeated from the data from different parts of the world, and every time it is showing the same thing, that age at diagnosis of type 2 diabetes matters for the cardiovascular risk. And what it showed was risk is higher when the patients get type 2 diabetes diagnosed at a younger age. And it's very you can see the risk of acute myocardial infarction hazard ratio when it gets diagnosed around 40 or less. Its hazard ratio is 3 to 4, almost 3 times higher. Stroke as well as the heart failure, you can see it is almost 5 times higher in a patient who get diabetes diagnosed just early around 40 years of age. And how many patients we see such at young age? Most of our patients. In India, we have been seeing the patients who are not treated correctly when they get diabetes at the age of 35, 36 across the world, because they do not know how to treat these young type 2 diabetic patients. We all know it, and we need to be aggressive if someone gets diabetes diagnosis early. Asian Indians, we know all that high number, high cardiovascular risk, and at a younger age. So it's not only established cardiovascular disease, but I will like to say that type 2 diabetes getting early, diagnosed getting early, again, that also becomes one more important, which is not there in all risk engines when we calculate the cardiovascular risk, which is also point to be remembered. So risk factor control may need to be more aggressive for people developing diabetes mellitus at younger ages, which we are seeing every day. And if someone gets diabetes, say after 75 years of age, then maybe our aggressive approach may be less. So when I say type 2 diabetes ASCVD no, the screening of cardiovascular disease and assessment need to be aggressive. Let me tell you, in clinical practice, I'm practicing for so many years and trying to do all these CAC score and CT angios and even simple stress tests. It's not easy. Patients most of the times are not willing. So it is better to have a clinical judgment of the patient's risk factors and be aggressive in treatment. That is the only thing we can do to reduce this cardiovascular event and mortality. Diagnosing heart failure with the preserved ejection fraction, maybe normal or mid-range, is a big problem in clinical practice. Just duration of diabetes, how is the patient's vasculatory thinking, helps us to be more aggressive. Women need an aggressive treatment for cardiovascular risk because assessment is very difficult in women for the cardiovascular risk status whenever there is no event, no prior event, ASCVD, no. Statin use in primary prevention needs to be more aggressive than what is happening in our everyday clinic. And we need to be more aggressive in the statin dose, deciding which patients, and making our patient more adherent to these drugs because they stop that statin which are at the down because we start with diabetes prescriptions in our prescriptions. First diabetes drugs, then comes blood pressure, and then we write statin. So patient thinks this is the least important tablet and they stop it. What about aspirin? Though there are latest guidelines which show that if there is no risk factor, aspirin is not useful for primary prevention, let me remind all of us that aspirin definitely prevents cardiovascular risk, events and mortality. Only thing, if the risk of GI bleed is more, then only we should not use aspirin. So especially in the COVID times, we should not be hesitant to use drugs like aspirin, which prevent cardiovascular risk in all our patients. Choice of SGLT2 inhibitors, GLP-1 analogs over other agents, even in patients with ASCVD, no, definitely is going to help them to have less events, less hospitalization for heart failure, and now the GLP-1 analogs are actually showing decrease in the atherosclerosis. So having a good choice of anti-diabetic drugs also becomes our responsibility. I'm not saying we should not be glucocentric. Glucose control is a must. The issues are lower the A1C, less are the events, which has been shown in again and again. Even aggressive A1C control is important. The problem is we need to reach to that A1C without having any hypoglycemia. Whether it is mild or severe, any hypoglycemia is bad. So without having an hypoglycemia or weight gain, if I can have a very good aggressive A1C, I want that in my patient to reduce cardiovascular risk. So cardiocentric approach is a must. There is no choice. Aggressive treatment, even when there is ASCVD, no. Thank you so much.